Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about how to manage a remote sales team. Have you ever worked with a remote sales team? Or ever managed one? Well, by the end of this video, you'll have a comprehensive toolkit for managing your remote sales team, driving performance, and fostering a strong team culture despite the distance. Imagine having a cohesive, high-performing sales team that excels in a remote environment. Have you ever struggled to keep your remote sales team engaged and productive? Have you ever wondered how top companies successfully manage remote sales teams? Today, we're revealing the strategies and tools that can transform your approach to remote sales management. First, I'm going to dive into understanding what and how remote sales teams work. Second, I will cover how systems, policies, and procedures play a crucial role in that management. And finally, understanding how leveraging technology is vital for managing those remote sales teams. If you're ready, let's go. So what are remote sales teams? Well, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of remote sales teams. You've definitely heard about remote workforces. As we've seen over the years, many people have opted to work in a remote environment or work from home when their corporate headquarters are located in a completely different physical location. And we've seen that trend growing more and more year after year. This has created a massive migration for many companies utilizing remote workforces, especially remote sales teams. You know, when COVID hit, I think it changed the world for a lot of us and about how we looked at work and about the idea of showing up at a certain place every day for work. You know, this changed our organization. We had a lot of our coaches that came and worked in the office. And because they lived 30, 45 minutes away, when the pandemic hit, a lot of them started working from home. And we actually found out that that wasn't a bad thing. It saved them some time and money. It saved us some time and money. So we actually started looking for additional coaches that necessarily weren't in a close proximity, but lived in an area that they could still plug in and remotely work for our organization. So how do these remote sales teams operate? From what I've seen, remote sales teams typically operate just like a sales team that is on staff, but there's definitely some nuances and challenges that come when managing remote sales teams. You know, we've always utilized programmers that are outside the United States to manage our platform. It's a platform that's pretty robust and it needs lots of operational work done on it. And we've had teams out of India, teams out of Europe, but there's always been challenges. Number one, just the challenge with our teams in India, when we're awake, they're usually asleep. So finding the time that works, where it's a reasonable hour for them and a reasonable hour for us, can be extremely challenging. And their culture, the holidays that they have, the times when they're not working is definitely different when we're not working. So having a remote workforce can definitely be a challenge, especially a remote sales team. But what are there, if any, advantages of a remote sales team? Well, number one, you could definitely save some time and money. If they're not in the office, working from the office, you could definitely downsize the corporate office space and save on some fixed costs that definitely come in the form of rents every single month. So now let's talk about systems, policies, and procedures and how they play a role in managing remote sales teams. Probably more so than having a team on site is having the right policies and procedures that govern that remote sales team. And here's why. It's not as easy for them just to show up and speak to a manager about what's going on. It's not easy for them to see the energy, the excitement of a team and being a part of that physically and experiencing the company culture. So having some way to convey all of that through systems is going to be really important. And it's going to help you when managing those salespeople that are not on site and they're in a different physical location. Now, if you haven't wrapped your mind around a remote sales team, it's definitely something you need to start thinking about, because there's going to come a time and place where I would imagine that one part of your organization, especially a sales team, is going to work remotely. And I've always said it probably takes the right individual to be able to work remotely, especially in a sales environment, because those are people that have to be self-motivated. And if there's nobody pushing them or they can't see the excitement and energy of people around them, then they're going to need that extra motivation, that extra discipline to be able to dial or take calls no matter what's happening. Now, I'm the type of individual, there's no way that I could work from home. Now, I do work remotely from our organization, which isn't a problem, but I know some people, when they work remotely, work from home, and I know that's a challenge for me, so I imagine it can be a challenge for other people. That's why it takes the right individual. You know, we just hired an individual not too long ago, part of our sales staff, and he has been fantastic. He works remotely in a completely different state, but he has the discipline and motivation to be able to work from home and set up a workplace and procedures and policies that governs when he works and how he works, and it's actually been a really good thing for him and for us. Now, outside of thinking of the policies and procedures that govern the management of a remote sales team, there's an important aspect that I believe we need to touch on, and that's reporting. I think checking in and getting reports from your remote sales staff or remote sales individuals is going to be important just for them to have accountability and for you to see how they're doing and what areas they need to improve upon. As I mentioned with our coaches, they work off-site, but they log into a CRM every time they're coaching a student, and they enter in that CRM notes from every single session with a student that they're working with. So at any given moment, we can log in and see how that session went. We can see if there's been any challenges, any red flags, how long they were on the call with the customer. So having some sort of system that reports that is really important. Finally, let's talk about how technology and leveraging technology is crucial to manage remote sales teams. The cool thing about technology is it always seems to be innovating. And especially over the last 4 years, it seems like they have come up with a lot of different tools and technologies that can really help us manage remote sales teams effectively. Obviously, Zoom has been an extremely powerful tool to hold meetings and conferences with our remote sales staff. Now think about it. You can get Zoom for as little as 17 bucks a month, and it almost seems like a no-brainer to utilize a tool like that, a video conferencing tool where you are able to interact with your sales staff and manage them appropriately. Another great tool that I love is Slack. This allows teams to collaborate on different topics, different ideas, and different channels. And you can separate and distinguish channels from maybe a sales group to a different group, but it's something that people see in real time where they're able to manage collaboration. So being able to manage a sales team with something like this is also extremely powerful, and it's also fairly inexpensive. A couple of other tools that I really like that are absolutely free are obviously Google Docs and Google Sheets, where you can put together collaborative worksheets or documents that individuals are working on, especially with a remote sales team. If you want them to see policies and procedures or different things that you're working on or initiatives or goals that your team have, that is a great way to do it. I also think that the above tools that I talked about are crucial for one-on-one check-ins. I think if you have a remote sales staff, being able to check in with them on a Zoom call is extremely powerful. You can get a sense for how they're feeling, what their energy looks like, and it'll give you ideas and indicators if there's certain things you need to do to boost morale or to train them on certain things. So a check-in tool like Zoom is extremely powerful to check in on a regular basis with your remote sales staff. And finally, I think having a tool that offers a transparency or an open line of communication is also important. Many years ago, I started an internet company. It was to service rural America with high-speed internet, and all of our staff worked remotely. And so checking in with them on Slack was also important. Them asking questions on Slack was important. Having Zoom calls to kick off the week was important. And so can it be done? Absolutely. But incorporating different tools, technology to leverage that communication and management is vitally important. And having systems and policies and procedures in place is what's really going to make remote sales teams manageable in the future. Now, these are things that I've done in my career to manage remote sales teams. I'd be interested to see what you've done. I know it's a fairly new thing, and some people are learning innovative ways to really make this happen. So please let me know, comment below, let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by and watching the video, I've got a free gift for you. Just click on the link below, aaronSalesTraining.com. It's a 10-module course called Sales and Persuasion. I've used it for all of my sales teams. And we normally offer it for $1,000, but it's 100% free for you, no obligation. Just click on that link, aaronSalesTraining.com. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome day.